Hello, and thank you again for stopping by to watch my happiness tips this week. This week we're going to talk about boundaries and happiness and how they correlate. So let's start with the idea of how many of us feel like we should have better boundaries on certain things in our lives. I think everybody goes through that. The reality is, I cannot remember my parents sitting me down and saying, hey, I want to teach you about boundaries. Teach you about setting good boundaries will make you happier. Didn't happen. I think that we sort of stumble along and we start creating better boundaries, but not necessarily because we're taught it. So I say to you, why is it we don't create better boundaries? I think it's because we want to be liked. We don't want to make somebody, not like us, or we don't want to rock the boat. So we go along and all of a sudden our lives look like muddy boundaries. Like suddenly we're committed to things we don't want. We're involved with things that we wish we hadn't. We've committed to, events that we don't want to be in. So how do we look at it and say, how do we create a better boundaries in our lives? I think first of all, you have to say, setting good boundaries doesn't always make others happy. Okay, so first of all, we have to kind of come to that reality. The second is, I want to share a little story in my own life. My husband loves the Colorado Rockies, and for many years, he actually had season tickets. And I went to him and I said, okay, I have about 2 games in me. That's all I really want to go see. And those will make me happy, and the next 2 or 3 other games will not. So he was like, okay, that's fine. I'll go with other friends, whatever. Now, a different husband might have had the attitude of, well, we bought these tickets, and why aren't you going to the games? And don't you want to spend time with me? I mean, all that kind of stuff that's super unhealthy. So I'm saying that sometimes when we set boundaries, like for me, that was my boundary. 2 games I'm happy, 3 games I'm not. So those are the kinds of things that start happening in your lives. What I want to talk about is crappy friends. This is a really great one on setting boundaries. We often have to look and say, and I bet you've had it happen as well, like that friend that you enjoy, but you kind of stop and realize that that person you only see them when you call them. And after several years of this, that you've excused them, you've called anyway, you kept the relationship going, you kind of wake up and say, this is just not a great friend. This is somebody who I'm doing all the work and they're doing very little. And so even though I enjoy their time and company, I resent when I get with them now. So as you get happier in your life, I think you're going to find that you'll set better boundaries. You'll start saying, this doesn't really make me happy. And a lot of times it's a compromise. Say, for example, I have a friend who her husband loves to go hang out with his brother. That's all great, except that my friend tells me his wife absolutely hates her. Ugh. So she finally came to the decision. She said, I will go do things with them over the holidays, but his wife doesn't like me. It's very uncomfortable. I spend 4 or 5 hours totally being uncomfortable, and I don't need that in my life. You want to go see your brother? Go see your brother. It's all good. I'm happy, want you to do that, but I don't want to be put in that circumstance. Sometimes those are the boundaries that are the hardest, because one person wants you to do one thing and you want to do another. But you have to decide. You have to decide healthy boundaries. So this week, your assignment is to think about, is there something in your life you need to put better boundaries on? A crappy friend, somehow I get sucked into way too many work projects. I don't know how it happens, but everybody else is enjoying their Saturday and I'm working. Whatever it is for you, you'll know what it is. Just to pay attention this week to look at that and say, how can I create healthier boundaries in my life? Anyway, thanks so much again for stopping by and having me share my little happiness tip. If you are watching this on Facebook, I hope that you will either comment on it, like it, or repost it to your friends. Thanks again. I look forward to next week as well.